Hello everyone. Welcome to the Unknown Unknowns, and this is episode 4. Was not 100% sure exactly what episode 4 was going to cover because I am supposed to have a guest today, and that guest is not here. So Mr. Sam Murphy had some tasks that he had to take care of, and he's unable to join me today, so look forward to him soon. One of the things that he's going to bring to the table is, answering some questions. We got some questions that we had thought of, just some random thought questions. And so it'll be a little bit of a different perspective, other than myself. And so I am moments away from performing at Shenanigans Comedy Theater for Clash of the Comics. Comedy competition held over several weeks here in Huntsville, Alabama, and I'm hoping to be one of those finalists and win me some cash prizes and some notoriety, hopefully. And if I don't, I'll just have a good time going and do it. So first things first. I've done it several times. And I just did it again. So I got some listener feedback this week from, and I did it again. So this listener feedback comes from, almost did it again, didn't do it. This listener feedback comes from Big D Daddy 9696. Stop saying so much. Not sure what the 9696 stands for, but it's a verbal crutch. And so I think that's what we're going to talk about. I've been looking through my notes and things of that nature, and I have several verbal crutches, and I don't know why. It's one of those unknown unknowns. I don't know why we have verbal crutches. I think a lot of it is it's just giving you time to process and think about what you want to say next. Because I am doing this, show/podcast, unscripted, almost said it again, unscripted, and so I do need time to think. I need time to process as I present. And so what I'm going to start concentrating on is, I feel like I've said it several times through past episodes, is I have felt like I've been babbling. So what I'm going to concentrate on is slowing down a little bit and give myself a chance to process what I need to say or want to say and try to eliminate the verbal crutches, because we all have them. Everybody has them. Um's a big one. We're always doing A lot of people have like. They'll say, and then like, I like, a like, like. Like and in my current role, what I do, I public speak a lot. And then with the comedy, I speak in front of people, and comedy is a lot of timing. It's word economy, it's structure, it's inflection, it's volume, it's emphasis, it's all these different things. And you can kill a joke if that joke is full of likes and ums. And here lately, another verbal crutch that I've kind of been relying on is the word actually. So, current state, I am trying to eliminate the word actually from all of my stand-up, from all of my jokes, everyday conversation. I'm trying to say actually as little as possible. And with the podcast, I think the whole thing, I think it's a little bit of something that I rely on just because this is something that's unfamiliar also. So speaking in front of people and things like that, I'm comfortable with it because I've done it 1,000 times. I used to run a tattoo shop, and so in that shop, I had to speak to people all the time, became very comfortable with, just on the spot conversation, or conversation that wasn't scripted, but it was something I was very comfortable with. So it came across as very fluid. It came across as like I wasn't nervous, and here, like with this, I still think I'm at a point to where I'm unsure of exactly what I'm doing. I'm unsure exactly where this is going to go, the subject matter. Like, put it to you this, I was looking through notes just before this started, and I didn't even know that this was going to be the subject matter that I was going to tackle. Just as I started this particular podcast, I noticed that I was sitting there and I was hitting those verbal crutches really, really quickly. And the person that wrote me, they told me that it became very distracting. It became, that's all they were listening to. They weren't hearing anything that I was saying except for the verbal crutches. And so I could tell you honestly, when I go and I watch stand-up, if you look at a lot of those professionals, like the true professionals, they have worked very hard to remove all of those verbal crutches from their act. They don't sit there and, out of a 15-minute segment, say for 5 minutes. Because if they were to say that for 5 minutes, they would not have an audience. Because that audience, that's all they would hear. Because my personal experience is, if I go and I see somebody and they're doing their act, and I can tell you right now, I get more than 5 or I get more than 5 likes within a 3 to 5 minute set, it is super distracting and not nearly as entertaining, just because that's all I'm concentrating on. And so in my stand-up, I really, really try hard to eliminate those verbal crutches. When I speak in front of people, I really try not to have those verbal crutches. One thing I can say about whenever I speak in front of people, as far as not comedy, but just a speaking role, a lot of times that is rehearsed. So I've taken time to figure out exactly where my thought process and my thought pattern needs to go. And so if you are somebody that has verbal crutches, maybe slow down. Like, I've slowed down for this segment, and I can tell you right now, I know it already, that from the beginning of this podcast to now, it is different. Like, I'm really hoping that piece of advice was a milestone to help me push this further. Okay? And that was really good advice, and it was really helpful advice, and I welcome, those criticisms. If you have a criticism about the light, I'm constantly working on the light. You have a criticism about the sound, I'm constantly working on the sound. Subject matter, sometimes I don't even know what it's going to be. Today I didn't even know what it was going to be. I had prepared all week long for the subject to be one particular way, just because, like I said, I thought I was supposed to have Sam here, and it ended up being completely different. I have a deadline. I have to be at Shenanigans for a certain time. I'm really hoping that they have Wi-Fi. This is a pre-recording, so I'm hoping that they have Wi-Fi that I can access to where I can upload this. If not, this will be uploaded probably tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to do it real late tonight, so I'll probably end up streaming it tomorrow from my YouTube channel. Another thing I wanted to tell everybody is, for a little while I figure this thing out, I'm not going to be doing the live stream. Last week, the live stream really, really kicked my butt. It became one of those things that it really kind of ruined the podcast. I had a lot of people next day ask me, what went wrong? What was happening? Hitting me up on Messenger and stuff. And I appreciate those people reaching out. And it was just out of my control. It was stuff that was completely out of my control. And so right now, from advice from several people, it's going to be pre-recorded. It's not going to be live. I'm going to try and edit as little as possible. I have a new editor, Gosh, see? It's hard. I have a new editor. That editor allows me to fix light and fix sound, and it also allows me to cut and splice things. Gonna really try my best to not edit, to not cut the video, to not cut the sound. I had a little bit of a preview that I created. If you got to see that on Facebook, hopefully you found it entertaining. I'm planning on getting better at some of those things. That was just I'd like to say quick little idea thrown together, but it actually was not quick. See, that actually word. It was not quick. I am not technologically advanced, and so it was a bit of a struggle. I taped a few segments, you know, the whole lean over look thing. I had taped a few of those segments and ended up erasing them all on accident. I had filmed footage with Sam. You know, he had came, and he's the one that's helping me with the audio and the video. So he had came, and you know, we had filmed some stuff together. And the original plan was to maybe do a little bit of a preview with him as a guest. And I erased that footage too on accident. Not technologically sound as far as skill goes. So it's all a work in progress. The verbal crutch, getting rid of the verbal crutch, getting better at presenting the podcast off the cuff, making it seem like, you know, there is no real script that's being followed. I don't want to keep saying the same things over and over again, but it's just starting. Like, this is just the beginning. That's another thing I got to keep telling myself, is that I'm 4 episodes in. I have no idea if anybody's watching this. I have no idea if anybody's listening to this, really. My uploads, some of the areas where I upload the video, I'll see the views and I'll have likes and things of that nature, and I'm hoping that grows. But right now I have to have a realistic outlook of what I'm producing. Right now I'm doing the work, you know, so even just like stand-up. If you listen to a lot of stand-up podcasts and things of that nature, they all talk about reps, doing the work, getting on stage as much as possible. You know, getting on stage as much as possible, running that joke several different ways, making edits, figuring out inflection, figuring out tone, figuring out timing, all of those things that make a comedy set really hit, really good. You know, that's my goal tonight. My goal tonight is hopefully I win a spot to move on to the next round in this competition. The way I do that is my words and my thoughts have to trigger the nerve in somebody's brain to produce laughter. You know, what is that science? You know, it's one of those deals that it's really puzzling, and it's really, you know, a mystery, because comedy, like a lot of things, you know, like some people will look at the same painting, you know, you'll have one person that says, wow, that's an excellent painting, and then you'll have another person that looks at it and goes, that makes absolutely no sense to me. Okay, and I get a little bit of that because I'm an artist. I like to paint, I like to draw, I like to sculpt. And so with comedy, you have to be universal. You know, just like art. You know, art has to be universal. It has to appeal. You know, you don't become a Van Gogh by painting something that doesn't appeal to anybody, and maybe Van Gogh's a little bit of a poor choice because he didn't become famous until after his death. You know, so in their lifetime, a Picasso, you know, Picasso was world renowned in his lifetime because he tested that foundation of art. He took traditional art. He could paint traditional art the way we think about traditional paintings, But then he brought it to another level. He took things that he had observed from all these different artists and created his own realm. He was a groundbreaker. And if you're pursuing some kind of art career or some kind of entertainment career, that's what you want. You want that groundbreaking moment. That Lenny Bruce moment, tackling subject matter, tackling freedom of speech, that, George Carlin moment, that Rodney Dangerfield moment, where it was, that's one thing with artists. You'll see all these artists and you can pick out those ones that were truly great. And then it was like, that could be this guy and this guy. I'm not 100% sure because they're real close. And whenever you think about some of those comics, they had, those groundbreaking acts, and like it's funny that I say Rodney Dangerfield, I think he had verbal crutches, and what made him great is he was able to figure out how to make that verbal crutch part of his act, so he didn't have to get rid of it. In my particular comedy, the word actually does not fit any of my act. Okay? And so it's yeah, I could probably maybe work it in, but I'd rather just eliminate it. And so we're sitting there, we're all trying to do something great. We're all trying to do that milestone moment that puts you on a map. Like, wow, I did that. And so we all think of these grand things. Whenever you think about, the artists throughout history and the entertainers throughout history, you have to really decide, and define what you view as success. You have to decide and define, I'm a successful artist, I'm a successful entertainer. Like right now, I went and did a show last night called Grown Up Comedy in Birmingham. Mr. Junior Cook and Miss Beth Bloomfield run that show. And it was a tough audience, but there was an audience there at least. And it was a good show. It was a really good show. Some good comics on that show. It was fun. It was entertaining. It gave me a place that I had never performed before. And I'm hoping that they reach out again. And, I go out there and I'm able to get laughs. Because I got laughs. That's the goal. That's the point. Like, the point in my career, that's where I'm at. I want to go into a room and I want to get laughs. And hopefully get booked there again. And is that the whole career? I have no idea. Because it's unwritten. So whenever I think about, like, things I've done with art, the things I've done with art is it visually appealing? Yes. Does it appeal to the masses? Yes. Have I made a living on it? Yes. With my art, I made a living for over a decade, with my art. Do I still do art? Yes. Is it my main focus right now? No. I wanted to, like, I had kind of, I don't want to say I had hit a limit, and I don't want to say that I had accomplished everything that I could accomplish with that medium, but just something else grabbed that fire. Something else grabbed that focus, and it's stand-up. Stand-up's extremely challenging. Like I say, you have to strike that nerve. You have to use your words, use your timing, your inflection, your thoughts. It has to be universal. For a while, I was talking about stuff that was so niche that no one knew what I was talking about. Like I grew up in South Louisiana, so there's a lot of things that we know about and we experience that are completely foreign to the rest of the world. Sometimes completely foreign to the rest of Louisiana. Like, where I grew up was that very, bottom section, right there by the Gulf. So we experience a lot of things that very few people experience. We see things that very few people see. We talk a certain way, we eat a certain food, and I can sit there and I can start to get to where, myself, I'm entertained by the things I'm saying. And if I was back home in that setting, they would find it entertaining. But whenever I remove myself from that environment and I'm in a place like, North Alabama or, Middle Tennessee or Georgia, whenever I'm in these different places, if I start talking about those details that, like I say, are entertaining to me and entertaining to the same people that I grew up with, it doesn't translate to that crowd. Okay, and that's what makes comedy so unique. I almost have to write 2 sets. I have to write the set that I can perform whenever I go back home, and then I have to write the set that I perform everywhere else in the U.S. because everywhere else in the U.S. is different. So that's where I think the intuition, I think that's where the social observation of the audience, knowing your audience, and I think because my art that I, made a living on for 10 years, I was a tattoo artist, and they always say that a tattoo artist and a therapist are almost the same person, because you have an intimate connection with somebody. You're changing their life forever. You're putting a mark on their skin that is going to be there forever, okay? And so I would get to talk to people and find out things about people. And I learned very early on that sometimes people find trust in a stranger. They'll tell a stranger things that they won't tell anybody that they're closest to. And so I got to really be able to know people good. I got to really be able to read people, read a crowd. And so even though it was a crowd on a smaller basis, you would know if somebody was a real intense person and they really didn't joke around a lot. And then you knew if people were silly and they didn't mind joking around. And so I think it's kind of that same thing now with the comedy is it's strange, but you'll sit there and so take last night, for instance. So last night I was in Birmingham and I texted Sam because Sam was in a place called Jasper. And so I texted Sam and I said, man, this was a really tough gig. I said they had, I said the people that were here to laugh were here to laugh. I said, but they had a lot of people that were not here to laugh. And you just got to deal with that whenever you're dealing with some shows. But at least there were people there, and at least I did get laughs, And so Sam text me back and said, well, hey, they got an open mic about to start here. This was a really good crowd. They're here. They're ready to laugh. And so I was like, cool, on my way, because if you know logistically, Birmingham is only about 40 minutes away from Jasper. And so I took off to Jasper, and from the time that they had a show, Sam was performing on a show, so from the time the show ended to the open mic started, the mood of that room had changed, because they went from ready to be entertained to kind of like, we're ready for people to stop talking on a microphone. And again, it's all different kinds of situations. And I did the same set that I did in Birmingham, I did in Jasper, and it fell super flat in Jasper, because the situation had changed. Now Birmingham, even though it was kind of tough, still they were more there to laugh, okay, instead of not. And so all I got to say is, whenever you're going for some kind of success, you have to really determine what that success point is going to be. I got booked on the show. I looked at that as a successful point. I was able to make a mic. To me, that's a success, because I got on stage twice in one night, which in the area I'm in doesn't really happen that often. And so I felt good. Was I 100% happy with the outcome? No, not really. I realized that I got some work to do. I got some rewriting to do. I have some practice to do, because not everything hit the way I wanted it to. And then I'm going into this competition tonight. I've done some rewriting today. Hopefully it hits. Hopefully I move on to the next round. You'll find out next week if I did. And so I think that's where we're going to stop this one, just because I am going to be rolling out shortly. I'm going to bring my laptop with me to Shenanigans. Hopefully I'm able to upload the episode. So just to give a little bit of an update with the comedy. So tonight, Shenanigans. I don't think by the time this is uploaded, I don't think you'll have time to make it. But hopefully you listened to last week and you know to come this week. And I've been advertising on Facebook. So Boudreaux Comedy, Boodro Comedy. Same as the show, Boudreaux Comedy. On all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. This is going to be uploaded to YouTube, Twitch, Reddit, Pinterest, SoundCloud. The audio version of this is going to be on SoundCloud. And I also have BoudreauxComedy.com, the website I try to update every Sunday. I can tell you right now, it did not get updated this Sunday. It's been a busy day, so I did not get it updated today. So comedy-wise, so today, Shenanigans, and then Tuesday I'll be at Laughing Skull Lounge in Atlanta, Georgia, for the open mic. Even though it's an open mic, it's a killer open mic. If you've never been to that open mic, make it to the Laughing Skull open mic. It's every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of every week of every month. And it is a killer show every time. I've never been there, and it has not been a killer show. So definitely one to get on and either get on the show or go and see the show. It's great. I do not have my calendar in front of me, so I cannot tell you anything else I have Yellowhammer. I know I have that one. I have Yellowhammer. I have Yellowhammer February 14th. February 15th, day after Valentine's Day. And then February 1st at Shenanigans Comedy Theater, I have Comedy Reflux. And so if you can make it to either of those, I encourage you to do so. Comedy Reflux is stand-up comedy and improv mixed into one. And then Yellowhammer is it's a smaller venue, but they always pack out. It's a local show here in the Huntsville area. I'll give you more updates on that. I'll have my calendar with me to where I can do week to week. Just this week, I've been a little bit distracted. And so if you've watched this and if you listen to this, I do appreciate it. Tune in next week for episode 5. I should have a little bit of a preview of what's coming. Hopefully we get Sam here and I get to interview him and you get somebody else's perspective on something that, may be an unknown. But other than that, I appreciate your time. If you listen this entire, I think it's like 30 minutes, man, you're a soldier, and I really appreciate it. Again, reach out to Boudreaux Comedy, Boodro Comedy at gmail.com with any suggestions on the show. I can't say that I'm going to take all of them, but, Mr. 9696, thank you for your advice on the ums. I am going to work on it, and everybody else, work on your ums, your likes, and your actuallys. Get rid of them in your conversation. Get rid of them in your comedy. You'll have a better life. All right, y'all have a good night. Thank y'all.